Hello again, all. Welcome back to Spinistry Live. I am your host for Racing and Adventure, Kevin Lee. And today we are doing our 1 week / 50 rider update to the goings on for the Panaracer International Grand Prix of Gravel. And we're going to go into some detail that goes over the routes that are now available in some key areas, where participants are coming in, and where we can definitely use your help. But first off, we do want to thank our partners and sponsors. They're a big part of this whole shindig. Without their support, we're not able to give you guys the gifts and achievement bonuses that you are going to so readily deserve as you complete your mileage along the way. Obviously, we want to thank Panaracer for their contribution of winner's cash. Kuat Racks has some very cool stuff. Stem caps. Check our social media today. You'll see the achievement bonus they've thrown into the works. Cantu Cycling Wheels have some cool things coming. Bell's Inspired Brewing, some of the best beer out there. King Technical Apparel. You like socks? We've got some socks for you. Definitely check out King if you need custom socks, and they also have off the rack stuff. Our buddies at Insurance for Texans, Ron's been just a fantastic partner of ours over the years. And also check out our social media for this one as well. A Rundell Bicycle Company. They have some of the coolest bike stuff out there. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And they've stepped up big time as far as prizes go for the Panaracer International Grand Prix of Gravel. In just a moment, we're going to talk about where our participants have started to come in from. They are starting to trickle in from other areas of the country. But we do want to do a quick partner spotlight today for stem caps. If you're not familiar with what these guys do, check out stemcaps.com. Race promoters, event promoters, clubs, teams. If you're looking for custom stuff, check out what these guys have to offer. They also have some really cool off-the-shelf stuff as well. But without further ado, let's go into, after 50 riders, here is our current heat map of participants. We are starting to edge outside of the Texas area. Let me scroll up a little bit here. So Colorado, Illinois, Pennsylvania starting to trickle in. So what that means is we're going to make sure there are routes available in these areas. And it's that simple. Once we get a geographic area with a participant, we're going to make sure there are routes in that area. And then we're going to ask those participants in those areas to let others know in that neck of the woods cool things are coming their way. Obviously, Texas has fleshed out significantly. San Antonio, still waiting on you guys. Don't know what you're waiting for. We got some good stuff for you guys already. And we'll touch on this very soon as well. We had promised that once we got to 50 riders registered, 50 participants registered, we would release our Texas Triangle routes. Austin to Dallas, or Dallas to Austin, Dallas to Houston, or Houston to Dallas, Austin to Houston, or Houston to Austin. Those routes are now available to participants. I'll show you how to access those shortly. We are also doing a bonus route because we got to 50 riders by today. We said if we got to 50 riders by the first full weekend of registration being open, we would release a bonus route, and this will actually be a cross-state route for the state of Louisiana. Picks up a little bit of Mississippi as well. I think y'all are going to be blown away by this one, but we'll share those details momentarily as well. So we are starting to get that nationwide presence that we're hoping for the event. We know it'll take a little bit of time, and they'll trickle in, but it will accelerate quickly once momentum kicks in. So thank you, Colorado, Illinois, and Pennsylvania for joining the Panaracer International Grand Prix of Gravel Virtual Challenge. So let's see how you find those routes. Again, we have some of the Texas routes. There's going to be more routes added regularly, but we wanted to make sure to get the Texas Triangle out there and the across Louisiana route. I'll show you some other routes that we already have available all across the United States, and we'll be adding more throughout this challenge. So from the registration page, you scroll down and admire all of our fantastic partners and sponsors and the details of how the event works. And there will be a video preview section, has a couple of YouTube videos. There will be more added to that. Here's an overview of the Texas Triangle that we're releasing. And then once you get below the videos, we have a section for Texas routes. Now, this is only available to people who have already registered for the event. If you've registered for the event, you'll have content under this Texas routes, as well as this suggested routes in the USA and the Louisiana route. And we'll go over each of those individually because I want to go over some details about each of these routes and the status of what's posted now as opposed to what will be posted in the not too distant future. Right now, all of these routes are just that. They're the course files, the route files themselves, not a lot of detail. And there is going to be the potential that the routes themselves are not perfect. Sometimes when you make adjustments in a route, Ride with GPS may inadvertently follow a driveway or something like that. And it might be too small of a detail to pick up. And actually, now that I mention that, I already know where there's a couple of spots for that I'll need to adjust once we're done with this video. But that said, let's go ahead and we're going to choose this Dallas to Austin, Austin, Dallas. You'll need a Ride with GPS account. We open this link in the new tab. And it brings up basically an event page for that Austin to Dallas leg. So we have it routed both ways, Austin to Dallas or Dallas to Austin. Minor variation in mileage because of a one-way road in the middle of the route, not a big variance there. But notice this route is 480 plus miles. Here's something we want to bring up. A lot of GPS devices, that's going to be too many navigation points for the navigation device to handle. Lots of times they want smaller chunks. Right now, it's just the full file. Days down the road, we'll get this segmented into 100-mile, 150-mile segments, something like that. That's more manageable. But if you're following the full route, you need to be sure to acquire all of the pieces. If your navigation device may be able to navigate the full route, it's going to let you download it, but you won't know you have problems till you're in the middle of the route. Realistically, I'm looking at you, Garmin. I think Wahoos can generally handle these. I think it's Garmin's that have trouble with the longer routes. So we usually, like when we do the RAT 1000, we break it up into 150-mile chunks just to make sure the navigation file is manageable by all of the GPS devices out there. Like I said, it's going to let you download the full route. It may go haywire in the middle of the route, which is the last thing you want to happen. But this is the route itself. We have it set up for Austin to Dallas, Dallas to Austin. This route is verified. We've been on every mile of it. That said, there can be mapping mistakes. I could have left-clicked at the wrong time when I was making one turn or something like that. Riders have to act responsibly while they're out on course. It shouldn't be sending you into any private property or no trespassing areas or government facilities or anything like that. If you're following the route blindly and it seems to take you somewhere weird, discretion is the better part of valor along those lines. Right now, we don't have the amenities highlighted on these routes. We have a few on the Houston route. We'll show you that momentarily. The long-term plan is to create a list of all of the amenities along the route as well, all the camping locations, convenience stores, hotels, whatever else. So that's currently the Dallas to Austin Here's our Houston-Dallas leg. This one we do have, it's not showing here, and actually I'll probably keep it that way. On the map, we do have a few potential amenities highlighted with points of interest icons, but they aren't finalized yet. So I wouldn't lean on those just yet. Again, in the coming days and weeks, we will be updating a lot more detail of what's along the routes. And these routes could still have minor changes and variations to them. If you watched our video earlier this week talking about this Houston-Dallas route, we brought up the fact that there is not a lot of camping along this route currently. We may have to get creative and find property owners that may let us share, or reach out to individual towns or cities and see if people can camp behind the police station or something like that. Or we may have to go 20 miles one way or another off course to get to a state park or a camping facility, something along those lines, for people that need the camping access. We're going to look for your feedback on that. If you're interested in this route and you want to start planning to do it, and you start looking at things and go, well, that's great, but there's nowhere for me to sleep for 200 miles, reach out to us and say, here's what I'm looking at. Here's where I would love to find a place to sleep, and we'll see if we can go to bat for you there. So that's the Houston-Dallas part of the Texas Triangle. And both of these, Austin-Dallas, Dallas-Houston, these are just fantastic. We're going to call all of these adventure routes, but Austin-Dallas and Dallas-Houston specifically, those are, I would consider those gravel grinders. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yes, you can't travel that distance without mixing in a good bit of pavement, but both of those routes have plenty of gravel and dirt roads to keep the dirtbag type people completely happy. Our Dallas to Austin, our Houston-Austin is a little bit different. Let's bring that one up right now, if it lets us. There it goes. So the nuts and the bolts of this route are, between Austin and Houston, generally speaking, it's a more populated corridor, and generally speaking, wealthier counties corridor. So there's going to be a lot more pavement stretches in this, longer pavement stretches. We try to work around them. We do incorporate some technically paved sections that are actually pretty rough, might even be rougher than gravel roads. So I would consider specifically Austin to Houston an adventure route, not a gravel grinder specifically. But for the purposes of the Panaracer International Grand Prix of Gravel Virtual Challenge, all of the miles on this route, all of the triangle miles do count as 100% gravel. You don't have to say, well, this one's got less gravel, so I don't want to do that one for my mileage totals. All of these count as 100% gravel. They're considered that for mileage tabulation. The Austin to Houston corridor, this is a really, really cool route, but I wouldn't want anyone to be disappointed expecting it to be just a gravel route. There's just no way to do that between those two areas. That said, there's definitely gravel in it. There's a lot of gravel in it, and there's some extremely rough gravel in it at the moment. It's going to depend on maintenance schedule and weather and things like that. Realistically, from Austin to just past Giddings, it's probably less than a third gravel, less than 40% gravel in that section, particularly Austin to past Elgin, however it's pronounced. There is some gravel interspersed between there and Giddings, but that section is going to be primarily paved, but it's not glass smooth pavement or anything like that. It's still an adventure route, but I just want to, transparency is important. Now, the reality is, once you get past Giddings, you're going to catch some gravel sections in here that are pretty rough. So you don't want to say, hey, well, I'll go ahead and chance it on a road bike through here. A road bike will not make this route. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Um, with what's currently on some of the recent rock that's been laid down, um, particularly in this Burton to Belleville area. There's some really chunky sections. There's a chunky section out here by Giddings. Realistically, you probably still don't want to ride 32s, even though most likely this eastern part of it, you'll say, oh, I could get by on 32s or maybe even 28 slicks on that, no problem. Once you get out here, you're going to wish you had 45s. It's ultimately what it boils down to. So keep that in mind. Also, as you get towards Houston, I'll be perfectly honest with you. Right now, I have only been to this park up here north of Katy. Obviously, this straight shot south into Katy is going to be fine. We're confident that everything into Katy is fine. This is just something we have mapped out at the moment. We're going to be reaching out to a friend of ours in the Houston area to give us a very specific map from Houston to Katy, and we'll update that segment then. Realistically, start at Katy if you're able to. Along those lines, September 12th weekend, September 11th weekend, we are putting together a group ride, a group-ish ride, I should say, on Austin to Dallas. Check our Facebook events page. It's a Club Spinistry adventure ride. No additional charge or anything like that. If you want to try out the Austin to Dallas run or just parts of it, that's perfectly fine. What you are able to do, and this is what's really cool, and this is part of the way this route is intentionally set up, North Texas folks can catch Amtrak in Dallas or Fort Worth, and Amtrak, the way we're recommending it is Amtrak to Taylor, but you can go all the way into Austin if you choose. You'll get in like Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and the idea is you can then pedal down to Elgin. There's a Holiday Inn Express there, or there's a Hip Camp camping area. We'll set up a group there at the camping area if needed, but if everyone wants their own room at the Holiday Inn Express, that's perfectly fine as well. And then folks can just ride their own pace along this route. The reality is the route really starts about Elgin as far as dirt roads and things like that. Everything else from Austin to there is just a way to get from the Austin train station to here before the dirt road section start. The dirt roads from this point north are really, really cool. So that, I wouldn't suggest, you could theoretically get off the Amtrak at Temple and go from there north. That works well. There's no doubt about it. But there's some really cool stuff between Elgin and Temple. This is a perfectly fine ride to get to Elgin from Austin, but that route is just meant to get Austinites out of Austin proper and onto the route. So again, September 11th, 12th weekend, putting together a groupish thing along those lines. And we'll try to do the same for the other routes as well when it fits into the schedule and as things cool down. And then what we have also, the 2020 RAT 1000 self-supported sign-up has commenced as of this weekend. So this year's version of the RAT 1000 will only be self-supported individual time trial efforts for the 1000, self-supported mini RAT options as well. But mini RAT is not timed. Essentially what the difference between the mini RAT and the RAT 1000 is, if you sign up for the RAT 1000, we know your intent is to try to get in the full 1000 miles. The mini RAT is you just go as far along that route as you're wanting to, able to, or fits into your schedule. The mini RAT, there is no timing. We still would like to track you though, so we know where people are on course. There is Saturday night tent camping available in Paris this year, but that will be on the grounds of the Love Civic Center. We won't be doing our fairgrounds indoor group camping this year, group party like we've done in the past. That's really not COVID-19 appropriate, but we do have Paris overnight available for people looking for that for camping purposes as well. We'll be sharing more details on that. It is free of charge for Club Spinistry members. And again, if you sign up for the Panaracer International Grand Prix of Gravel, that includes a coupon code for an individual Club Spinistry membership for a year. So basically, you sign up for the Panaracer Challenge, you get your Club Spinistry membership, and if you're interested in the Rat 1000 or Mini Rat, you get that as well, all for one price. We think that's a pretty cool deal. So those were the Texas routes. Let's talk about some of the other routes that we have going and in the works, and what is accessible now and what will be accessible in the near future. Our bonus route for having 50 people sign up by Sunday today is that we have added an all the way across Louisiana and more, quite frankly, route. This is part of our going to California nationwide gravel grinder / adventure route that we've been working on. We wanted to go ahead and add this Louisiana and some of Mississippi piece as well. So it actually picks up in McHenry, Mississippi and crosses the Louisiana state line. This is over 700 miles and all the way across Louisiana up to Texarkana, where it joins with our Rat 1000. So that's gives you some idea of how our going to California route works. And this is all verified. Again, let's put the qualifier in there. I may have errant map clicks here and there. Please use your own discretion. If it looks like Ride with GPS may have inadvertently sent you down a driveway or private road or something along those lines, definitely you don't want to be going into any top secret government facilities or anything like that. But this is available in that section for registered riders. Go back here. We have a Louisiana route. Please, if you have friends in Louisiana, Mississippi that might be interested in scoping this out, point them in the direction of our challenge event and they can access this. And this is some really cool stuff. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you. Louisiana is a lot of swampland, a lot of bayou and things like that. So this is by no means 100% gravel, but I think we do a pretty good job of picking up the dirt and gravel roads we can, and there's also some levee road sections as well. Start getting up here to the northwest. We have some forest roads that are really cool through here. This whole middle section here is really, really nice. This section over here, this is mostly levee road, but also through the wildlife management area. And then this over here, this is some amazing riding through here in the St. Francisville area. People that have done the Rouge Roubaix in years past will be familiar with some of these roads. I believe this little section through here is shared with that. It's completely coincidental. I did not even realize that was where that route was. I'd heard good things about it. I didn't realize it was St. Francisville. When we scouted this last year, I was just blown away by this section through here. You will not think you are in Louisiana. As you can tell by the elevation profile here, there's actually some good elevation and up and down through this stuff versus when you get on the bayou and it's just flat as can be. So this is now available. Please share with all your Louisiana, Mississippi, Gulf Coast friends. Let's get some of those Cajuns signing up for the Panaracer Challenge. We'll be adding some other states as well. Again, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Colorado. We're going to get some more specific routes up for you guys. Colorado, I'm actually going up there later this week. We have routes up there already. I'm going to put together a couple more while I'm up there and verify those in person. The Illinois and Pennsylvania ones, let me show you guys some stuff we have for you already. But realistically, this is true for everyone across the country. We made arrangements with the SBT VRTL group. Our friend Mark Sakowitz, who unexpectedly passed away fairly recently. We lost our friend Mark unexpectedly recently, and we were working together. We put together some routes for SBT for the North Texas area riders that were wanting to do the virtual SBT gravel event. And he was gracious enough to let us utilize the other routes that they had throughout the country for our virtual event as well. So we have Chicago, we have routes in the Chicagoland area, Denver, Fort Collins. Let's see, I'm pretty sure I saw there's Dallas, there's our routes there. There's Austin and Houston routes from some of the other partners that Mark put together. So this is people throughout the country that know these areas and put together routes specifically for SBT gravel. They are now available for the Panaracer International Grand Prix of Gravel Virtual Challenge as well. And what's going to be cool, today is the SBT Gravel Event Day. So these routes are being ridden all over the country today. There are lots of segment times and leaderboards being recorded on Ride with GPS and Strava and things like that. So you will have, throughout the country, you will have benchmarks to ride these routes against if you're so inclined, if you are the competitive type. So here's a Philadelphia area route. So there's Pennsylvania there. I thought I saw some Pittsburgh ones, but maybe not. I have not gone through these and dissected them. I will start doing that as more people sign up in each state. I'll be culling these SBT routes into a more specific folder for Panaracer Challenge riders so that they know which routes are in conjunction with their local area as well. So again, thanks to SBT Gravel and their generosity in sharing their routes with us. Mark, we miss you already. Our best to his family and friends and the cycling community as a whole. So that's our update for this week. If we left anything out, please be sure to leave a comment below. And definitely, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and we do appreciate comments here and on Facebook. Thanks for joining us, everyone.